Know what you don't know and where you need to grow. It's okay to not know everything. And when you know where you need growth, you can head towards that direction and you can actually get it. When you can just really do that good self-reflection and be really honest with yourself and be like, listen, I'm not that great at this, and own up to it and take responsibility for the fact that maybe you don't know something and you need to learn it and you need to grow in that area. That is the greatest thing. That's even better than knowing the answer, is not knowing the answer and knowing that you need to do some personal growth to get to that answer. And if you know what you don't know, then you know where you can grow.
What if today was the day that you dared yourself to do what you've always wanted? Welcome to the I Dare You podcast. I'm your host, Jen Gottlieb, and together we're going to step outside of our comfort zones and into our best lives, one dare at a time. So come on, I dare you to dive right on in.
What's up, family? Welcome to the I Dare You podcast. It's me, your host, Jen, coming to you in 2023. Let's go. Happy New Year. This is like the second week of the new year, so it's still definitely considered New Year, and we're still feeling fresh, recharged. Hopefully you're feeling fresh and recharged and excited about this year. Hopefully you all did your best year blueprints and you figured out your word of the year. You wrote the letters to yourself. You reflected. You decided. You connected the dots, all the things. If you haven't, you can still go ahead and download your best year blueprint. In the show notes, there's a link, and you can go ahead and set absolutely zero resolutions, but create the greatest year of your life with my personal goal setting strategy for the new year. Now, before you ask, Jen, what the hell is wrong with your voice? I'm a little under the weather. So if I have a scratchy voice or a deeper voice than usual, it's like a sexy voice. Like I feel like I have a sexy voice. Sorry about that. I apologize if it doesn't sound too pleasing to the ear, but I figured I may as well get on here and record this podcast anyway and stick to the commitment that I made with myself and stick to the commitment that I made with you, most importantly. So we're here anyway. I have a scratchy voice, whatever. We're just going to go with it because this episode I think is going to be really transformative for you. This episode, we're going to be talking about 10 things that you can focus on this year that will transform your life. Now, I want to preface this by saying I did not think about these things randomly and pull them out of the sky and just be like, oh, this would be a nice thing to say. These 10 things that I'm going to share with you today came out of my reflection portion of my Best Year Blueprint. When I reflected back on what I wanted to leave behind, what lessons I learned, what didn't work, what did work. And when I looked at that, I asked myself, what are some of the things that I know will help move the needle this year if I focused on them based on my reflection portion, based on what worked, what didn't work, what lessons I learned, and what I'm leaving behind. And I just started journaling and I came up with these 10 things. And I looked at them and I was like, holy crap, if I could focus on just a few of these things, not even all 10, a few of them, I know my life would change. And if that's the case for me, then I know that would be the case for you. So today on this episode, we're going to go through 10 things that you can focus on this year that will transform your life. And I have no doubt in my mind that if you implement some of the things we're going to talk about today, things will change. Opportunities will present themselves. New relationships will form. You'll feel better. You'll feel happier. And I know because I've acted on some of these things, and that's when the magic happens. And some of the things that we're going to talk about, I forget to do. And this is my reminder. So I highly recommend that you pull out a pen and a paper if you can, if you're somewhere where you can take some notes. If not, listen to this later where you have a pen and paper handy and take some notes then, because this is an important thing to remember. And maybe it's something that you can reread every single day when you wake up. It's super quick. But let's get started. So focus on these 10 things this year to transform your life. The first thing that came up for me was to be seen and speak up even when it scares you. What I noticed this year in 2022 is I decided that I was going to be seen in a big way. I really took down the filter, quote unquote, and started showing up and being seen. And I started posting an absurd amount of content and not worrying about if it was perfect, not worrying if it had the best sound quality or the best video quality or the best filter on it. I started doing Instagram lives every single morning while I did my makeup. I wrote my book and I told really, really personal stories inside of that book. And I decided that I was going to allow myself to fully and totally be seen, even when it scared me. And it still continues to scare me. But I know that it's my responsibility to be seen, because every day that goes by that I'm not being seen is another day that someone that maybe could have gotten something really great out of my message is not going to get it because I'm too scared or insecure in my head about putting myself out there. So I made it my responsibility to be seen this year, and it changed everything for me. It really increased my engagement on my social media. It really increased our business. It increased my happiness level, my connection level to humans, and made me feel more confident, because the more that you do it and you show you are seen and visible and you put yourself out there with fear there anyway, the more confident you become. So the first thing is to be seen and speak up even when it scares you. All right, number 2, know what you don't know and where you need to grow. It's okay to not know everything. It is okay. And when you know where you need growth, you can head towards that direction and you can actually get it. When you can just really do that good self-reflection and be really honest with yourself and be like, listen, I'm not that great at this, and own up to it and take responsibility for the fact that maybe you don't know something and you need to learn it and you need to grow in that area. That is the greatest thing. That's even better than knowing the answer, is not knowing the answer and knowing that you need to do some personal growth to get to that answer. And if you know what you don't know, then you know where you can grow. Oh my gosh, it rhymes. It's so cute and it's so perfect. But this year, I know where I can grow. I know where my growth edges are, and I'm leaning into that in a big way this year so that I can end the year better, wiser, stronger, more connected, more resilient, more wealthy, more wise, all the things. Because if I just stay the same and I don't seek knowledge and I don't know what I don't start to lean into where I can grow and lean into learning what I don't know, then I'm going to stay the same. And that's no fun. Nobody listening to this podcast right now wants to stay the same. So know what you don't know. Get really familiar with that. Where do you need to improve? All right, number 3, focus on what you can give rather than what you can get. This is, the golden rule. If you can just HOPE, help one person every day, and think about how you can provide value to people, your life will change. I don't even need to go into it. Full stop. Just do it and watch what happens. It's the law of reciprocity. It's the law of the universe. It's Newton's third law of motion. What you do unto others, others will do unto you, or the energy that you put out will come back to you. It just simply is. And it doesn't necessarily have to come back from that direct person or that direct thing or that direct opportunity, but it will come back to you. So if you wake up every single day and focus on giving and service rather than what you can get, magic will happen in your life. Not even magic, like real tangible success will happen in your life. And I've seen that. And all of the times where I wasn't as successful this past year was when I was thinking about getting, like, what can I get out of this? And all of the times where magical things happened, incredible opportunities took place, and really great relationships were formed was when I was just like, how can I give? How can I give? How can I give? So think about what you can give rather than what you can get. All right. Number 4, do things you don't feel like doing. Do things you don't feel like doing regularly, because the more you can practice being uncomfortable, the better you're going to get at it. And the most growth and the most success meaning like whatever success means to you, but the most amazing things always happen when you are the least comfortable. It just is what it is. Like, think about it like in the gym. You don't get results in the gym unless you make yourself uncomfortable, right? Like, you don't get stronger unless you lift a weight that is so heavy that it kind of hurts. That's how it works. We need to get really good at doing things that we don't feel like doing. And if you can get good at doing things that you don't feel like doing, you have freed yourself from that fear of the unknown. Like, you're never going to completely free yourself from that fear, but it lessens, and you'll be able to take action a lot easier when something comes around that you're not completely certain of, or you don't really want to do it. Because life's going to throw a bunch of shit at you that you don't want to do. And if you can get really good at being in uncomfortable situations and knowing how to rock them and knowing that you're going to end up on the other side totally okay because you trust yourself, you will be that much better off. All right. So practice doing things you don't feel like doing. Maybe that's whatever that is, going live on Instagram. If you don't feel like doing that, maybe it's sitting down and writing that 1-page of your book. You don't feel like doing it. Maybe it's taking the dogs out in the rain. You don't feel like doing it, but you're going to do it because you're going to prove to yourself that you can do hard things. Maybe it's doing that ice plunge or that ice bath, or hanging out with that one family member that really needs that help that day, but you really just don't feel it. You're going to feel better after. A reminder that I like to remind myself is you never really want to go. You don't really usually want to do the hard thing, but you're always going to be happy you did it. You're always going to be happy you went. So do things you don't feel like doing. Number 5, talk less and listen more. The most interesting people are the most interested people. You want someone that you have a conversation with to walk away from your conversation and be obsessed with you and be like, oh my God, that was the greatest conversation of my life. I love that person. All you have to do is ask them questions and listen. Listen. People want to be heard. They want to feel seen. And if you can listen when people talk to you and ask them questions and genuinely be interested, they are going to love you. They're going to feel so connected to you. They're going to feel so seen. They're going to feel so heard. And not only does it help in relationship building, but listening more will help you to be more intentional about your choices and your actions. It'll help you learn more. It'll help you absorb more information. It'll help you really, like at the end of the day, I feel like I usually speak up like too quickly. I wish I would just listen a little bit more and not even just listen to what's going on around me, but listen to myself. Listen to my inner voice. What is my inner voice saying right now? Is it telling me that this isn't right? Is it telling me that I should get out of here? Is it telling me that I should move into it? Is it telling me that I should say yes? Listen to your internal voice. Listen to the people around you. Listen to the people that you have conversations with. Ask questions. Ooh, that's a good one. All right, number 6, figure out your zone of genius and spend 80% of your time and energy there. What do I mean by zone of genius? Your zone of genius is usually the place where everything feels easy to you. Maybe it's a place or a skill or something that you do that is really hard for other people, but it feels easy and fun for you. What is that for you? For me, it's speaking on stage. That's my zone of genius. Speaking on stage, teaching people, communicating. That's where my zone of genius is. And I am planning on spending 80% of my time there if I can. But you're not necessarily going to get to that point right away, but you can strive to spend 80% of your time in your zone of genius. If you can do that, your job will never feel like a job. It'll just feel like fun. It'll feel easy. It'll feel flowy. And that is what I want for you. So figure out your zone of genius. Maybe that's your first piece of homework. Where is your zone of genius at? Are you spending your time there? Is your job in alignment with your zone of genius? If not, how can you make it that way? Or how can you find something else that you can do that is in your zone of genius? Next one, stop whining, complaining, and criticizing. Oh my gosh, you guys, we are the words that we speak. We attract what we are. If you are whiny and complaining and bitchy and moany, you are only going to attract more whining, complaining, bitching, and moaning and negativity into your life. You don't get things from complaining. I'm just going to let you know. Like whenever I want to get something from, like, let's say I'm at a restaurant or I'm at a hotel or I'm somewhere and like they mess up or I want to get something, I always go in so kind, so generous, so loving, even if I'm upset about something. And I always get what I want when I'm nice and kind. But if I let that go and I just like let my emotions take over and I get annoyed and mad and I complain and I'm bitching and moaning, no, I never get what I want. It's always an argument. And then they hate me, right? It's like negative attracts negative, positive attracts positive. So if you want something, you get more, what is it? What's the term? Like you get more honey, sweetness with honey. I don't know what the term is, but you get more when you're nice. And if you complain and you bitch and you moan and you criticize, that's exactly what you're going to attract into your life. So just stop. Stop whining. Stop complaining. Catch yourself every time you complain. It's not a good look. Next, be where your feet are. We spend so much time worrying about what might happen in the future and obsessing over what happened in the past. And none of that stuff is reality. At the end of the day, it's not real. The only thing that's real that's happening right now is exactly where your feet are. So whenever I'm obsessing over the past or the future and I'm getting super anxious, I try to always just ground myself, put my feet on the floor, put my hand on my heart, and just say, I am okay right now. And I look at my feet and I'm here right now in this moment. Do it right now while we're on this podcast. I am okay right now. Oof, good. Next, prioritize sleep and recovery. Important. If you do not sleep and you do not recover, you can't show up as your best self. So it is not a badge of honor to stay up all night, burning the candle on both ends. It's not a badge of honor to work so hard that you burn yourself out. Be strategic about your recovery. Be strategic about your rest. Make sure you get your sleep. That is so important. When I reflect on 2022, I was so happy that I really prioritized recovery and sleep. And that's how I was able to do all the things that I did this year. I did a lot of stuff. I did a lot of travel. I did a lot of events. And I could have definitely burnt myself out. But I made sure that sleep, exercise, healthy eating was a big piece of the year. It's so ironic that I got sick at the end of the year on my vacation. But throughout the whole year, I did pretty good. All right. Last but not least, lead with empathy and compassion. Lead with empathy and compassion. Just take a deep breath before somebody talks to you and just say, like, how can I empathize with this person? Think about how that person's feeling. Put yourself in their shoes. If you lead with empathy and compassion, you will attract more empathy and compassion. And we need more kindness in this world. And I promise if you lead with kindness and love, you will get more kindness and love. And if you focus on these 10 things, your life will change this year. I know I'm going to try to focus on them. I'm going to go through them one more time. Be seen and speak up, especially when it scares you. Know what you don't know and where you need to grow. Focus on what you can give rather than what you can get. Do things you don't feel like doing. Talk less and listen more. Figure out your zone of genius and spend 80% of your time and energy there. Stop whining, complaining, and criticizing. Be where your feet are. prioritize sleep and recovery, and lead with compassion and empathy. Oh, I love you guys. I'm so grateful for you. I hope that you take these 10 things, write them down, put them on your mirror in your bathroom, and just remember, we're never going to remember all of them. Like, that's really difficult to remember all 10 things at once. But if you can remember, one of these each day, just a nice little reminder, I promise you, things will start to change. Things will start to change. So thank you so much for listening to the I Dare You podcast. You guys are such a blessing to me. I'm so grateful for you, and I cannot wait to continue to crush it with you, step outside of our comfort zones together in 2023. Please share this episode with someone that you think would really appreciate it and get some value out of it. And DM me, which one was your favorite? Which one out of the 10 things was your favorite to focus on this year? Let me know in the DMs. It's me in there. I will respond to you. And I will see you next time on the I Dare You podcast.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the I Dare You podcast. I'm so grateful you chose to spend this time with me, but I'm even more grateful for your future self that you are building one dare at a time. So my first dare for you is to subscribe to the show and then share it with a friend who you think needs to step a little bit more outside their comfort zone and into their best lives. They'll thank you for it. I'll see you next time on the I Dare You podcast.